I'm very curious into the human condition. I just want to know why and how. And I think that's an acceptance of all of everything that anyone's ever gone through. I just want to know the how and the why. Um, and that's what this is. It's just this curious, deep reach into why does memory or my mind or why does silence work this way, or how does love work, how does joy work. It's just this constant questioning of the human condition. That's it. It's Yeah, I think especially being a Black woman, I think you always have these questions because we have to know how every community works or how everyone thinks, because we have to maneuver around everyone. And I think it's this you're sitting in this seat where you can ask these questions because you're in a place where you're kind of not always seen. And so I can reflect and look at different demographics or genders or whatever it may be and ask questions. So, and this is just a deep dive into, so this series is called Paying Reverence to the Altar of Memory, because I feel like there's many altars that we have, like the altars of joy, sadness, and we stay at some of them too long, or we don't visit any of them at all. And I think we don't give enough power to memories and how they may not actually be the way that they happen. Like every time we remember them, are we remembering them properly? Are we giving too much power to this memory, right? And so it with these lines, I wanted to show how this memory, like through the neck and like through the head, how this memory needs to be put to rest, how it needs to be forgiven. Thank you for your time, but now it's time for you to go. And so I think it's also not just like I need to do away with this. I think it's paying reverence to it. Thank you. You served me some sort of purpose, but I don't need you to do that for me anymore. So
Truth and honesty, they come hand in hand, and they're essential to start that process of like of healing and talking about like social justices, because I think that also creates clear communication. And if there's not a clear communication, how is change gonna happen? How is, like, even between friends, like if there's, you cannot communicate and you feel like you cannot say what you want or ask what you need, there's not gonna be change, and there's not, you're not gonna evolve. And I also think this is a group effort. It's not like, oh, there's one person, like it falls on them. It's like all of us like learning. And I mean, I know this is being said so much, like listening and learning, and but really like believing people when they say this is happening or this is troublesome because of X, Y, and Z. Just like really creating this space where truth, honesty, and communication can happen. And I don't think we should like wait around to like for everyone to think the same way or whatever. Like I think we have to do things, but I feel like we also have to create these spaces where people can ask questions and get educated and yeah, just speak truthfully. Just, I think that's essential.
How does the truth relate to the process of racial healing and issues of social justice? Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no idea. Like there are there's so many factors that we have to consider. I think to a certain extent we we retain that propensity to form like these tribal groups, and I think that's something through human evolution, I think that's something that we just found to be useful for ourselves. But I think within a modern society, I think somehow we have to move beyond that. But in trying to create a country where we are able to navigate instances of racism, of social injustice. I think all anybody truly is looking for is they're looking for a home, and they're looking for food in the refrigerator, and they're looking for a good quality of life, and that's it. And I think if we're able to focus on those ideas somehow, which is why I'm saying I have no idea. Like it's a long road ahead of us. I think we don't need to be one-dimensional where we only focus on the like the wealth distribution, negating any instances of like racism or social healing. I think we could work on this all together, but it's just it's a huge task, and it's something that I think I ask myself. I ask myself through my work. Like that's the whole reason why I started making my artwork is on those questions.
What are you hearing? Like what do you feel is to be true? When I'm telling you that I'm like, you know, a Black woman existing in America and I'm uncomfortable, do you believe me? You know what I mean? Because I'm existing, because I'm able to like go to work, do all these things, but like I still feel this. Do you believe me? It's a great question because like look how many ways we just broke it down, you know. So I think it really depends on like what that person, how that person is creating and what their purpose in making is. Mine is so that, you know, people that are me or look like me are able to see themselves in new ways, like not just in there's a Black body on that canvas, you know, like what is that Black body doing? How is she activating the space? So I have a different form of activism with what I'm doing, with however the figures exist, however my non-representational work exists, however the text exists. I think that I just always try to stay true to the voice I have now, you know, and what's affecting me now and what I'm learning now. And somehow that always falls into the same canon of social consciousness and you know, also thinking of the Black woman because we're not thought of. So I think for me, it's super important for me to always stay true to making her voice loud as shit, you know? Yeah.
So I think it's important to see like the other aspects of being a migrant, right? It's not just suffering. And I thought that I had to get those photos where people are crying, where they're like sad, where they're having the worst time of their lives, which it sucks. I mean, it's not an easy journey. It's tough. And I was only with them for a week each time. So, I mean, it was nothing compared to what they've gone through, but I wanted to experience it. And that's when I realized that that's not it. I mean, that's what we usually see. That's what we're used to seeing. They're also happy. They also shave their legs. They're also concerned about their appearance, obviously, you know, trying to look their best when they're going to seek asylum. So seeing the migrant that is dragging their feet across the border, that's not what's always happening. And I thought that it is important to show people that migrants are also like them, right? I mean, they're just like we're like each other, so that we're all humans. We all love, we all bathe, we have partners, we have kids. You know, we're more similar than not. So I think that if we're able to show a little bit more of how we are the same, more than what we see usually, I think maybe more people can understand understand them a little bit, better, where they're coming from.
Sometimes truth is so muddy in terms of how we perceive what it is. I know my work isn't going to convince people of things. Like, if you feel a certain way about race relations in the country, my work's not going to put a dent in how you feel about it. Most, for some folks, is my work telling a truth? It's certainly telling mine, certainly telling my truth. I feel like I've been on this earth long enough and I've taken in enough media, enough stories, enough fiction, enough artistic output. I feel like my truth does fit into a larger truth of how I'm trying to represent my people. I'm trying to represent my experience, because my experience does resonate with other, particularly Black men. I can't tell you how many times I've been at a show or I've been giving a show and a Black man will tell me, I've always felt like that. Or they'll come up and say it to me in a certain way that my art has given a visual to how they've always felt. So I know that in the larger scheme of things, my truth is syncing up with a lot of truths of the inner truth of a lot of Black men. So on that aspect, I feel good. On the other side of it, I understand very clearly that my truth is just not going to resonate if you're not empathetic or open to what I'm trying to tell you about, what I'm trying to talk about.